everybody, and welcome to another Spark of Genius Flesh and Blood production. We have everybody's favorite video type. I know for a fact that everyone loves tier lists so much that we on Spark of Genius decided we're going to make a world special tier list. So we're going to do one for CC and one for Blitz because in all of LSS's immaculate wisdom, Blitz is now a competitive format that's going to make or break people's top 8 experiences right at the end when they've worked so hard to see if they do reign supreme here.
I mean,
so
at least Blitz won't ruin it at the beginning where all the breakers happen. So at least you can.
No, but draft will.
Yeah, draft
So
will, but at least Blitz will be at the end. So
no draft, please.
That being said, I am joined by my co-creator, co-caster, co-commentator, co-compatriot on the top. That's Rob, and then on the oh, there we go. It's mirrored. Oh, there we go. And then we got Nghia Tran, the battle-hardened Toronto winner. That format was Blitz, so I figured he might know something about Blitz. You never know. Like, it changes from day to day. He has some weird takes on things. But that being said here, we are going to dissect in great detail, except for the heroes that, don't get played a lot, the ins and outs of kind of the meta, how we see it going in tier list for the World Championships on November something. First week of November, I don't know.
Yeah,
4th, 5th.
4th, 5th, yeah.
Yeah, 4th, 5th. That sounds about right. Without any ado, we're just gonna go chronologically here, I think.
Yeah, and just a small note, we made a custom meme tier.
Yeah.
So for the heroes that we think are meme worthy, we'll just jump in there.
Yeah, for everyone doesn't know what meme is, it's just like you gotta try real hard. You gotta really love this hero to play it, essentially.
All right.
Speaking of meme,
yeah, all right, yeah. This was
starting off with Azalea.
This is alphabetical too, so that was by no design. Yeah. All right, Azalea.
Yeah, so let's start off with Azalea here. Rob's put him in C. I think I'm going to move Azalea to the meme tier. There's a reason for this, right?
Azalea's probably better in Blitz than she is in CC, though.
Look, that's not actually true because Azalea did top 8 a CC Nationals, and Azalea has done nothing in Blitz. To be fair, we've had less Blitz events.
There haven't been many Blitz events, yes. Okay. That's
However,
fair.
Even in the skirmishes and all that kind of thing, or the battle hardens, like the PTI events that we have coming through now, I have not seen Azalea even close to the top there. And so I think we're gonna put Azalea.
I'm fine with
her issue is she's still a ranger. She has no actual weapon. We've seen a bunch of new weapons, quote unquote, bows and such, a dreadbore and battering bolts, like new additions to the ranger kind of ensuite here. But yeah, the issue is that she gets hard countered by decks that fatigue really well. Oldhim, Bravo, decks that can consistently block 3, D-react decks, and decks with armor. So it's really just like anyone who has enough 3 blocks can probably get around this. And Azalea takes a lot to set up one big arrow is generally how Azalea has been working so far. Unlike Lexi who has Voltaire, Azalea doesn't really have that available to her. So she's just a bit of a weaker Lexi here. And so really love Azalea, go for it. But
there we go.
Unless my good friend Nghia in the top right there has any comments on Azalea.
I played a bunch of Azalea. Oh, okay. So we'll leave it at that then. Yeah.
I hope Azalea gets better. I really do. I really do like Azalea as a hero. I think something with traps. I think she could be like more akin to like she needs better traps, honestly. But
yeah, they're all pretty awful.
She would be like a lot more unique and playable. So
like a hunter.
Like a hunter.
Yeah, pretty much. Give her a dagger or something.
Some bear traps.
Benji.
All right.
And you
B
know what?
Benji?
I heard.
Is that
I heard. Our friend Nghia on the top there plays some ninja sometimes. Sometimes, not always. Not recently. But I'm gonna throw it over to him for Benji. See what he thinks about it.
I think it got hit harder by losing links.
Yeah.
Because you needed it to combo with Spring Tidings and potentially get a second one. So I think without it, you can't break through decks like Oldhim or even Kassai really. So I think it's like
heavy armor builds.
Like probably top of C.
Top of C.
Yeah. Is where I would put it.
He was probably B before the nerf.
Yeah, because obviously like Pi loses a lot by losing links, but like I think the hero is still playable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I don't think Benji can punch through enough damage to raise something like a Briar even.
He was so collateral damage from that banning that it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why play him now?
The sets go on, the more and more like 2-block armors come out. Like the more and more pieces of armor that I can actually just straight up counter Benji get introduced. Benji just gets a little bit weaker if he doesn't get enough tools. I don't think he really got great tools in Uprising for Ninja, like take the tempo and stuff, are not. They're not really great for him. Double strike's good for him, because they're unblockable, right, on Benji. So
He also got Shuko.
He got Shuko,
And
which
Shuko
is
well.
big.
Yeah.
Shuko is nice. For specifically for double strike, they're very nice because 2 and 2 is unblockable, right? So
Yeah. Right.
it's
Sir Boltyn, or not Sir, I guess he's young. Just Boltyn.
It's just Boltyn. I like how you put them in B, and
B
I don't
for
know if
Boltyn.
I don't know if anyone's gonna.
That's what I'm starting at. If they have a letter on this tier list, I'm putting them in that letter.
I am struggling to decide whether this is a meme or C. Yeah. The reason is because Boltyn is still a warrior, and so Boltyn still gets a lot of armor. Boltyn has the ability to use Valiant Dynamo fairly well, along with Kassai, obviously.
Yep.
Boltyn has some interesting tools as far as like you have axes and you have Raiden. He has all the light stuff. You know, he can run Soul Shields, and he still has Lumina combo that he can run. But I think the issue is he just feels very underpowered compared to the other warriors that are available. Like Kassai and Dori just feel much better. Boltyn doesn't really have any like strict advantages. I think Axis is still too weak. Like Spill Blood is just like a card, whereas like Blood in her hands is just real good.
Yeah.
He doesn't get the discount like Kassai does. Lumina Ascension is good if you can set it up, but usually in CC you get a lot more time to set it up, right?
Yeah.
And Lumina you can only ever do 2 in Blitz.
Yeah, in the Blitz format, it's very hard to set up pretty much anything, and he is a setup hero, I think, by design, because charge cards takes cards from your hand, and if you're kind of giving your opponent all the tempo and all the advantage, you just can't claw back in Blitz, really. So it's an uphill battle, I think, from the start.
I think he's just too slow in Blitz right now. Yeah. I think he's too slow and doesn't have enough like control like aspects like Oldhim does or something like that actually makes sense to go slow.
Besides all the armor, I guess, that he gets.
Yeah, but, I'm gonna put him in meme tier. I don't know what you guys think, but
I'm okay.
Is he better than Azalea?
Probably. Although yeah, it's hard to tell. I think he's better than Azalea. Yeah, there's some merit to playing him, whereas Azalea just feels bad all around.
Feels bad all around. Confirmed. Okay. Let's move on to Bravo.
B.
Bravo, the show. Well, I guess he's not the showstopper. He's just Bravo.
He's just Bravo. He hasn't stopped the show yet.
So I personally toyed with some Bravo Blitz builds. I think Bravo was always quite strong at Blitz actually because he still gets that massive armor suite that hasn't changed from CC, so it's worth even more in Blitz. And his Dominate, it hurts a lot more when you only start on 20 health, right? So things like Pulverize, like setting up your turn 0 Pulverize, setting up like imposing plays. Showtime's still a strong card, as well as like your Crippling Crush, your Spinal Crush, everything's still active, right? And being able to dominate and force through those big attacks have just like double the impact essentially because you have half the health. I think Bravo is quite strong. He can also like fatigue out pretty well. He's not Oldhim, but Oldhim doesn't have Crown of Seeds in Blitz. So while he's not Oldhim, he's not actually that far off. You can build him similar to Oldhim. The only thing Oldhim really has on top is he gets the Winter's Wail and the Shield, and he gets his D-reactability, Oldhim wise. Whereas Bravo is inherently just more aggressive with his ability. So it's definitely interesting. I don't think B.
Yeah, A or B.
I'd hazard to put him in A because he's just very overall strong. Like he doesn't have that many bad matchups. Like he can 50-50 most, if not all matchups, pretty easily.
Yeah, like into aggro, he does pretty well, I guess.
Yeah, like depending on how you build him, but like you can definitely catch people off guard with like you can sack the shit out of people with Bravo,
with as much disruption as you can kind of pack into this deck. He might be okay into a lot of disruption, into a lot of the aggro decks. Probably good into control as well, just because you can dominate. You can get over all the armor, all the block with dominate.
Yeah, you also have a last ditch effort plan, which sounds weird, but like 2 last ditch efforts in Bravo, and you're fatiguing someone out, and you go late. Bravo is one of those heroes that can actually pull that shit off and win in Blitz because last ditch effort comes in for like 8 go again or whatever it is. And it's actually a valid strategy, which sounds ridiculous, but against decks like Oldhim, it actually works. So I'm interested to see how Bravo does kind of in the Blitz meta and Worlds here, but we're gonna leave him in A for now. Briar.
Sure.
I'm gonna throw this over to Nghia here because I know he has quite a bit of experience on Briar. So in Blitz, how's Briar doing?
I like her. I think like her damage output just gross. Like Chanamount Heroic being a card in the game is gross.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Sonata just got unbanned, and
Sonata got unbanned, yeah.
the chess piece got banned.
Skeleton.
Yeah.
So she does lose a little bit of armor, but gains Sonata.
Yeah, that's true. The Sonata really helps. I feel most of the Briar builds probably don't really bother with Skeleton anyway. They probably just play the Aether Ironweave.
Ironweave.
Just for
They
that.
were playing Skeleton just for the block.
Just for the block, okay.
Two block is good though.
Yeah,
10%
that is
block,
true.
20
Yeah.
health.
Well, it's 3 block over the game, right? Like it's pretty good.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a good amount of block. Yeah. Do Briar
makes
do
sense.
Briars play Channel Mount in Blitz? I feel like maybe Lightning is more the way to go, or because I think I've tried both, and if you don't draw Mount Heroic, you're just like dead.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's a 40 card deck, and like I feel like
Yeah.
you're seeing a lot of cards with Gorg Tome.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
now
just
with
like-
Sonata, you
just
can
cards
kind of
like
get it
that.
out quicker, maybe.
Well, you can't
can,
grab it off Sonata.
True, but you can like it's more like card draw, right? Kind of like Gorg,
Yeah.
where you're going through your deck quicker. So maybe now it's more viable. Yeah.
So what do you guys think? B,
I'm thinking A or B.
C, A.
I think she's better than Bravo.
Ooh,
Okay, put her in A.
I think Bravo's like a good middle ground for all the heroes because he's not like the best or like putting out
He's a fair hero.
amazing damage, but he's very fair.
Yeah,
But he does
fair but
fare
strong.
very well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good fair. Exactly. No, that's true. Okay.
Sounds
So
good.
Briar leading the pack here.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have Chane,
Chane is
a hero maybe a lot of
interesting.
people forgot about. I know I did.
Everyone thought it was LL'd, but he's not LL'd in Blitz.
Yeah.
So Chane is interesting in that Husk is still a thing, and it's 6 damage.
C-
Sorry,
C for
6
Chane.
block, right? And the key is he still has the ability to pump out ridiculous amounts of damage. Like his damage potential is his racing potential is very high,
Yeah.
and he has some of the best tempo swings in the game with Husk, right? Because you have the biggest fridge, right? So you just throw the fridge and then come back for a lot. And if you can make the Husk last at least 2 turns, I think you win against most physical damage oriented heroes. Like in Briar, Fi, whatever. If you can make it last 2 turns or more, I think you're in a really, really good spot because you just out damage most heroes. That being said, I've seen a ton of games where Husk goes turn 1, turn 0,
Yeah, no, right.
depending on the
It's
heroes.
just because
right?
in Blitz that the life cap for Husk doesn't change, right? So in CC you have like 26 health to play with, and in Blitz you have 6 health to play with. So like off turn 1 you might be forced just to play the Husk, right?
Yeah, you get plunder on in Blitz, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
So the other nice thing is because you can run things like creepers in Chane, right? Oh yeah, all rune blades get creepers. People probably forgot that, but
Yeah.
you can creepers in stuff like plunder run. Like that's a thing. It used to be a thing a while back. You just creepers in, puppetry. You can creepers in plunder run, and it is one of the good ways to get around stuff like hypothermia and other kind of effects that really try to slow down your really big turns. Chane does have access to boots that he normally runs, and just now makes him a little bit stronger. Just because of the field is probably going to be pretty heavy on the ice side. Like if Oldhim and Iyslander are out there, giving you hypothermia and giving you channel and stuff like that, having a way to gain an extra action point to push through a little bit more damage is very ideal in this scenario. Whereas decks like Fi and Briar, the other quintessential aggro decks, just don't really have that ability as easily. So
Yep.
I think
Might be as
I
close
would
to
say-
S as possible right now. I don't know.
I would hazard to put him in S right now, but
Yeah.
A is okay. It really depends on the field. I think he's inherently very strong unless he sees very specific matchups.
I think
What?
specifically right now because of how the field is, I would put him below Briar because he actively has a mechanic that hurts himself. And even just playing the matchup recently, it felt like it was like almost unwinnable for the hero.
Do you know which heroes he kind of suffers mostly into?
The ice hero,
The ice heroes, yeah.
which I think are S tier heroes.
More
but we'll get
yeah.
on that later.
Yeah, we'll see them soon. Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as all the physical damage heroes, I think Chane is probably like one of the best, if not the
Yes,
best.
I would agree with that.
But yeah, based on the field, he definitely can falter a little bit here. So
Okay, next we have
let's
Dash.
keep on the aggro train. Well, I guess she's not necessarily all aggro. Why are you putting in her meme tier? That's not
There's no
correct.
D for Dash, so I put her in the meme tier.
Dash is interesting in that She has the ability with Pounder now to put out pretty insane amounts of damage turn, especially going second too.
Mm-hmm.
You can get the right cards and line it up. But she also has like in Blitz, not so much that she's not been really players haven't been really taking advantage of her like control potential. Like they haven't really been going heavy control because you can't sideboard in Blitz, right? So they haven't really hybrid dash isn't that good. Boost dash is very very good, and the key is that dash runs a lot of blues inherently for an aggro. It's probably the aggro deck that runs the most blues because when all else fails, you can convert your resources into power in a conversion rate that's just better than other heroes.
Yep.
Because you have attacks that range from 0 to 2. Whereas Briar is usually 0 or 1, Chane is usually 0 or 1. The curve is just lower. But Dash can actually take advantage of that and run stuff like Achilles Accelerator, which can give you an extra action point and make your turn keep going longer and longer. And inherently, she is like very difficult to race. The flip side is that she also fatigues out faster in Blitz because there's less cards in the deck. So if you can't win in the first couple turns, or you can't get like a big enough lead, all your power cards are just gonna be gone, right?
Yep.
That being said, she does have a little bit of armor, right? She runs Foundry Heart, Crown. Could run an armor.
Yeah, usually Goliath Gauntlet, I guess, for the extra
could
damage.
Also run Goliath.
But
yeah, with combustible courier, right?
Yeah, she could run armor and gloves too, I guess, but it's rare in Blitz, I guess.
Yeah, looking at the rest of the field, it's like, what is she bad into?
Yeah, so she can race aggro decks because she starts with the 6 damage from Pounder, which is insane. Although I would say she probably hurts the most into control decks because if you do manage to block her out for 3 turns at the beginning of the game where her Pounder's active, she has no real, I guess, no mechanic that lets her like get ahead in terms of like damage late game unless she gets off a really good maximum velocity. So late, if you kind of stifle her in the first few turns with like an Oldhim or like Bravo or something, or someone just with more good good D-reacts built in, it feels like she might struggle.
Yeah, I also do think like decks like Oldhim that do have a good shot in fatiguing dash are pretty ideal.
Yeah. Ice Heroes too.
Ice Heroes.
Yeah, I was gonna say because if you strip away like the one resource matters a lot in her deck because she's so she has a lot of 2-costed 6 attack or 5 attack boost cards that the one Frostbite throws off like the game plan by a lot.
Yeah, I do think she's still favored into decks like Iyslander for sure. It's not like auto favorite.
She's definitely favored into Kano.
Well, now the Striders is gone. I like Dash's chances pretty well, but I think it really depends on like the deck that they're running. They're running more of like a hybrid deck. If they're running more of like a what they've replaced with it. But I like Dash as a
she might be our first B
cutter aggro build.
No, I think she's still quite good.
Yeah,
I think she's still A.
I think she's still A.
Lower A.
Maybe between Bravo.
How about
Chane.
here?
Yeah.
Shane's probably still better because his better matchups against other heroes, but Dash probably could beat Chane.
She could, but like 10 armor up front with Chane could block out Dash's entire turn and waste a whole lot of cards, and Chane comes back for a lot of damage.
That's fair.
So I still like Chane a little bit more into that matchup, depending on different circumstances. But it's really against the decks you're going to see the most of. So Oldhim, Iyslander, probably see Dash, probably see a little bit like some of the illusionists.
Yeah, maybe Ira will still be around.
Maybe Ira, Kassai, stuff like that. Viscera is actually LL out, so we don't have to do Viscera.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
he's not a thing
Yeah. Goodbye, Viscera, it's true.
Yeah, right. let's leave her there.
Cool, we got Data Doll.
Rob, why don't you tell me about Data Doll?
I've played quite a bit of Data Doll.
I've played quite a bit of Data Doll.
It's funny because even on the games where you roll really hot and you manage to banish item after item, it's still an uphill battle. Like it's not an instant win. I feel even if you get like the craziest board state, she's still like the 3 intellect is just almost unplayable in my opinion. So you might have like good matchups if you roll hot, and when you don't roll hot, it's just over with this hero. So I think she's a meme tier hero.
What about microprocessor though?
It wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
I don't think so.
She needed more.
Like so that like brought her from like the 7th hell of meme tier to like maybe the 6th
The
hell of meme
seventh.
tier.
Oh my, we're on Dante's Inferno, which kind of makes sense.
So yeah, it
Right.
gives her more. It reduces variance in her gameplay, but it's just
Mhm.
not powerful enough to beat the top tier heroes. So she's a meme.
Right. Choose me.
Yeah, she's a
Okay,
meme.
that's fair.
Dori.
Dori. So I guess there's two Dories, but we only have one image. So because there's Dori, there's new Dori,
Oh,
and
there's
there's
the
old
new
Dori,
Dori.
right?
That's right. Yeah,
There's the Quicksilver, who's
right.
the Dawnblade
Quicksilver
Resplendent
Prodigy.
Dori, Quicksilver Prodigy, and then
Yeah,
there's just like Dori, right?
yeah.
Um,
Maybe we can talk
Two
about
different
both of
decks.
them. I mean, unless they're like crazy varied in terms of where they fit on this tier list, maybe we can just put them into one
Yeah.
image. Yeah.
What do you guys think about Dori? Either of the Dories.
Uh, I actually think they're not horrible.
Nice,
Mm-hmm.
nice,
So
good start.
I played against Quicksilver Prodigy recently, and Glistening Steelblade in that deck
Mm-hmm.
hurt.
Hell of a card. Yeah.
That card hurts.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. It's a force block. Like if you're an aggressive deck with a bunch of 2 blocks, you're kind of like caught off guard because you have to start blocking her Dawn Blades. And if you
Yeah.
don't, like, I think it's just a game over situation if you let that thing hit twice.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start with Quicksilver because that's the one I've played a little bit more recently, like on the channel and off. Um, my issue is that it's kind of nice that her ability is just like go again and you can hit again, right? You don't have to hit to be able to. It's just easier to proc multiple hits, and you can end on like an attack action if you want to, like a nourishing
Nourishing,
or
yeah.
what have you, right? Um, so I do like that it's tied more towards go again. However, the issue is cards like Glistening Steelblade don't actually buff your card. They give it go again, but Glistening Steelblade doesn't buff your first swing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so ultimately, if you're coming in without any counters and you're on your Glistening and you don't pump it at all, your Dawnblade's coming in for two. Two with go again, but it's only two.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these decks can either slow and or stop you, right? Ice and or armor, whereas you don't trigger reprise. A lot of them are running D-reacts anyways, like just inherently for the rest of the field,
Mm-hmm.
for decks that are more aggressive than you. So you're kind of caught in between in this place where you're trying to be like a scaling aggressive hero with things like Steelblade means you don't have to remove the counter if you don't hit. Like once
Mm-hmm.
you gain it off Glistening, that's it. It's yours to keep essentially, right? You only have two of those cards, so if you can't make those really big turns work, it's kind of doomed because there's no other way you can gain counters regularly like regular Dory can, right?
Yeah.
The flip side of this is that you're still Dory, so you still get a nice rack of armor, a nice rack of ribs there, a
Mm-hmm.
little mini rack of what seven armor, up front
Two,
seven,
two, one. Yeah.
followed by another two,
Yes,
depending
Evan.
if you're running Providence or Skullcap, right? Um, but Providence real good into those big 5 card hands, putting something from Arsenal below. Um,
Yeah.
so that being said, I think Quicksilver Resplendent. I think I think I'm keeping her at B. I think I'm also keeping regular Dory at B for very similar
Mm-hmm.
reasons that she needs to do a lot more to be able to keep going. Um, where she doesn't just get to hit again if she gains go again. She actually has to like give it go again and hit um, to be able to gain that counter on the second swing kind of thing, and then keep hitting every single turn to keep your counters. However, you can still run Glistening Steelblade, so you have two ways of getting the counters. However, the deck is more predictable in that if a player is experienced into Dory, there's not a lot you can do like to like sneak out a win
Mm-hmm.
out of nothing. Like if the player is experienced into Dory at all, it's just much harder for the Dory player.
Yeah.
Um, you still have the fridge, you still have your attack reactions, everything, but there's just like Ice Heroes is just real good, and Oldhim's real good into Dory.
Mm-hmm.
Even Bravo real good into Dory. Um, depending on the list, and I think she's like good into aggro. I think that's
Yeah.
where she shines, right?
Yeah.
But I don't really like her in the overall field because the entire field is not going to be on aggro,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so she's kind of a middle of the road. If you want to punish aggro, she's probably a good choice.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't see her as extremely strong in that she's like a must pick, like an A tier, like some of the other heroes that have very obvious strengths.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Yep, I agree. I think B looks good to me. That's what I was gonna suggest.
B looks good to me too.
Dromai.
Dromai. So Dromai is like an interesting hero in Blitz in that I think Senopais are extremely good in draft. And Blitz and draft started the same life total. Ember Moss still comes in for 8, Dunebreaker still comes in for 5 in red. But you get footsteps in Blitz. You don't get footsteps in draft.
Yeah.
So these cards can now gain extra action points if you pop them, right? The nice thing is you do things like you Dunebreaker for 8. If they pop them, you could footsteps and gain an action point when you didn't even have go again before. Like there are things you can do that you couldn't really do in draft. And she has the ability to push a lot more damage and tempo with her dragons with lower life. The flip side is that aggro decks and on hit decks do real good into you, because you get free on hits. So decks that can take advantage of that, real good into Dromai, as opposed to Prism, where Prism's auras have Spectra, right? The dragons don't have Spectra. It's the same kind of idea that Dromai can spend, like sometimes she just needs more time to set up good board state, whereas you don't have as much time in Blitz. So I think the aggro decks will do decently well into her, depending on the build. Dromai can sack a little bit and get some really good tempo damage, like Dunebreaker, Ember Maw for 13, Arsenal card. It's a good. It's a good turn into aggro decks. Don't have a lot of poppers, right? But I think the big decks like Bravo, Oldhim, I think Iyslander can do pretty good into her. I think it depends on what they have in their build, but especially more of the higher powered damage cards, very very good.
Yeah, she doesn't really have any good matchups, I would say, really.
Same issue as CC. Well, that's not true. She's supposed to be okay into Oldhim, so I'm told.
Okay.
You know what? It depends a lot on the Oldhim player. It depends a lot on the Dromai player. It depends a lot. I would even say it's like superiorly favored. And she's supposed to be favored into Iyslander, apparently.
I don't think so in Blitz.
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about CC. Like in general, like when you bring her from CC, those are supposed to be her favorable CC matchups. But
yeah, probably not as much anymore in in Blitz.
Yeah, the issue is like in the Iyslander matchup, if Iyslander just like arsenals a blue spell that can kill her attacking dragon, it ends the turn.
Or a hypothermia, or a
channel. Or you stop the go again, you pop
card.
the dragon. The channel just makes you pay more. Like you have to pay a lot more for your second attack kind of thing. You have to pay 2 for each dragon's on the next dragon swing, and then 1 for the rest of the dragon swings if you have more. But there's just a lot of ways to stop the turn, and Dromai is very good into like building a board state that just wipes you out in a turn.
And maybe there's a build that's less reliant on dragons, just more on the big Senpai builds. Yeah, exactly. So, but I think I'm tempted to put her more on top of C, low of B, probably somewhere around here.
I think you also forget Plunder Run exists, and it says the next time an attack hits and you have dragons, and that says like it's hard to hit.
That's so funny, yeah. Yeah, all the on hits work against dragons, so pretty rough. And of course, now that Mask of Pouncing Lynx is gone, I think Fi is going to start running the Mask of Momentum again. So any third hit's probably just going to, just draw a card off of it. So, yeah.
I would put her top of C personally.
Top of C.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's reasonable.
Fair enough. All right, Fi.
All right, Ninja Master. I'm not talking to you, Rob. I'm talking to you.
Yeah, I didn't say anything. I know my place.
I think in comparison to the other heroes, losing a whole 5 to 6 damage, like Mask of Pouncing Lynx literally represented like your armor slot represented 6 damage, a third of your opponent's life total for no reason.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a right hit, but I think when you look at it, its tools into things like Briar, Chane, Dash, it can't race them anymore.
Yeah.
And then you play against like the ice heroes. Like the reason you were able to get over Oldhim and Iyslander is you had links. You could literally like punch over them by setting up a big turn, but you don't have that anymore.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So whatever made him really good earlier is now his matchups have fallen down to a point where you're not really favored anymore, right?
Yeah, because like now he just plays fair, right? He's just gonna go like head jab, weapon 1, maybe a little more in there, but like
if you're lucky.
Yeah, lava burst for like 6 if you're lucky. So I think it's just like your Chane throws a 6 in front of it.
Your Chane just throws husk and comes back with more tempo.
So I think he's just like I think he's
somewhere maybe low A or high B, maybe.
I'd put him like high B. I just think
high B.
I put him above Dori.
Yeah.
I also think I would put Bravo down to B. Looking at the heroes, I'd put him like top of B, like most fair hero.
You put him top of B.
Want to drop him
I
down
think
a
I
bit?
put him.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we put him top of B. I think Dori is. I put Dori above Fi. I think if I was Dori, I'd be happy to see Fi.
Well, if you were
Yeah.
Dori, you'd be happy to see Fi, but
Yeah.
I'd be more afraid of seeing a Fi than a Dory personally.
Yeah, that's true.
That's also true. We could just keep them next to each other. And
Yeah.
then it's just kind of wiggle room, anyways.
They're comparable.
Okay, Mr. Genis. Is he what we
Genis
need?
is what you need. I don't know what you're talking about. I see you see that cosplay
S tier.
in was it Vegas or Jersey? I think it was Jersey. That one guy had the cosplay of
Oh, yeah.
Genis.
I might have seen
No,
it.
I think it was Vegas.
It might have been Vegas. That was
I
an
think it was
S-tier
Vegas.
cosplay.
That
It was
that
Vegas.
cosplay was fantastic.
That was an
Yeah.
S tier cosplay. Unfortunately, he's a
S-tier
meme
hero. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do anything. He just like merchant is not a class that has any support whatsoever.
Yeah, I think we'll get some
Does
more
he even have a
support soon.
specialization?
But no, there are no merchant
Is
cards.
this just a PVE hero? I'm not entirely sure.
Genus actually does one thing really well.
What's that?
He gives your opponent 5 intellect.
Yeah, that's right. Give your opponent 5 intellect.
It's not that great.
It's
but
so
It's
good.
not that great. It's a little underpowered, I would say. Yeah. Meme tier, clearly. All right, Ira.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna probably I'll say one thing about Ira, and then I'm gonna give it to Nghia to say other things about Ira that I probably won't say. She has lost a lot of favor recently, and for good reason. She's just being outclassed. And there are different builds, and she has had a history of having control builds and more aggressive builds, depending on what she's putting into the deck. But the main issue is there's no reason not to play her, but there's no particular reason to play her into any of these heroes as far as like what you're trying to do in the particular meta. Like if you're trying to play a good aggro deck, everything on that A tier is a better aggro deck than Ira. That Ira can't race, but Ira does have things like Flick Flack, and she does have tools that can make her
Flick
go
Flack's
more
pretty good.
defensive.
Yeah.
But just as an overall hybrid, like I don't think the Massive Pouncing Lynx really did anything to her. I don't think she was running that anyways because she's Kodachi
Right.
Mask Momentum was much better anyways. So it didn't really hurt her. However, like I don't think Double Strike, Take the Tempo, like I don't think any of those new Uprising cards really helped her either.
Yeah.
Not to say they're particularly bad, but I think she just didn't really get any attention, which is fair. I don't think these sets were none of them are geared towards Ira. As
Ira,
it's made abundantly clear.
Yeah.
After Crew, right? And so that's my thing about Ira. Then now Nghia can say his piece.
I love this hero, but she just does what Fi does worse, and then she just does what everybody. I would put her top of. Yeah, I love that poster.
Oh, very nice. I mean, I've got the Ira right here too.
Okay, look, I don't have as much
Lexi.
wall space as you.
I would put her top of C. I think she just
Top of
does
C.
like she's really good at being fair like Bravo, and she could just like fatigue you if she needs to.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have tools like Bravo. She doesn't have the really good equipment, the really disruptive attacks like Spinal Crush, stuff like that, like Crippling Crush, that she can throw at your opponents and like get them really good on those spots. She's just playing fair with damage and trying to tempo you out. Stuff
What
like
about CNC for
National
7
Momentum.
all the time?
I've CNC for 7 off of an even bigger than that in Ira, and it felt the best it's probably ever felt, but it's not going to be enough.
Not good enough. I'm okay with that.
The issue is they printed a counter. It's called Crown of Providence. And you put that shit at the bottom of your deck, you take 5 damage, and then you draw a card and you just shit on it. Like it's
Yep.
it's just the effectiveness is so much lower. Like
Yeah, CNC's fallen kind of out of favor, I think, lately.
Like, unless you're running Pummel and you can grab that card.
Yeah, unless you're running Pummel, you're right. Yeah.
No CNC pummels, please.
No. All right, Iyslander. All right, meme.
Okay, so
that's just a meme.
I will start an Iyslander and then defer to Nghia also. Obviously, on the channel, you've seen me play a fair amount of Iyslander. I've been tinkering with it a little bit on Blitz. Not as much as Nghia, obviously, but Striders hurts. Not having Striders hurts. However, it doesn't knock her out. She's still a very strong hero. And the reason for that is that her ice kit is inherently strong, and you've added her ability that lets you give frostbites off the instant spell. She still has hypo, she still has channel. She still has blue spells that hits for 4 as instant speed out of the arsenal. None of that has changed, right? The only thing that people need to figure out is what do they want to run in the boot slot, right? There are not a lot of options because there aren't, right?
Hmm.
There aren't any ice boots available that she can run. There aren't any wizard boots outside of, Storm Striders.
Yeah.
And it's really like it's either something like a Mage Master's boots or armor, or like null runes, like spell
Yeah.
void. But that's
That
not
goes
like
without
the
saying.
generic stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, those three are your options. So I've tried Mage Masters a couple times. I covered a couple different builds, and I don't really like it.
Hmm.
Um, it's not a bad card. I just think Icelander's build has to change so much to make it useful that it becomes less of what Icelander's good at. And I think it's detracting from too much of the inherent value that she gets from her cards.
Hmm.
And so from that, I would say Iron Rot or Iron Hide are good options in the boot slot, depending on what you want to be spending resources. Personally, I think I mentioned it in the gameplay replay that I'm going to be running Iron Hide from now on, kind of thing. It's just a much better card. You pitch a blue
Yeah.
anyways. You can use a blue, block for 4, and then use that one floating for like ice Aether Hail from Arsenal or something like that, like a blue Aether Hail.
Yeah.
Like that's just one blue card getting you a swing for 6 with a Frostbite,
Hmm.
pretty much, which is just very very good value in Blitz. So I think with that, Striders has not taken out her. I think Iyslander also won not the battle hardened, but she was top 8. I think she won like one of the PTI events or something like that recently. Post Striders. Don't quote me on that. I just remember reading that earlier today. But my point is that I would still put her like A tier, like somewhere
Hmm.
around the A or the S tier. She's still personally very strong even without Striders. But let's see if Nghia just shits on my
Let's
hopes.
see what the experts think.
So my thoughts on this hero right here.
Is that one of the marbles? I should
It
pull out a
is.
couple marbles. I should pull out a couple marbles.
I,
You
I
have a
I love
couple?
this hero.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's your
I've
baby.
been playing her a lot. Yeah, I mean,
It's your
she's
One
pet
battle
deck
with
now.
her.
she's the hero I got my win on, right?
Yep.
You won with
Uh,
her, so.
with Striders, I think she was just like above every other hero,
Plus.
not even close. And I think Striders just knocks her down onto a level playing field with the other best
So
heroes.
in other words, good ban. Good ban.
I think it's absolutely the most like right bet. Like
Mhm.
nothing else you could hit could not just be replaced with something else.
Right.
Striders is the only way that you could make her play fair. Or fairer. I don't think anything that can play Channel like Frigid on your opponent's turn is necessarily fair.
It's not a
That's-
card that should be played on
that's
instant
true.
speed.
Take away her cheat codes.
Yeah, it just like Striders just gave her another like way to just like 5 your opponent
Yeah.
for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or it literally costs 1 blue. You just like pitch a blue and you're just like boots ice, bolt you red. Like
Yeah.
take 5.
Yep.
Good luck.
So when
And
you,
you
say
can,
when you
like-
say she's fair, does that mean like S tier fair?
I think she's
think
still one
she's-
of the best decks in the format.
I don't think I would put her as the unequivocal best. However, I still think she's in S tier.
Yes, I think she's one of the best
One of
heroes
the
in the
few in
format.
All right.
Like if I'm running Iyslander, I'm pretty happy into everybody in the A tier. Like for example, like I'd be fine
Yeah.
running into any of those heroes. Like
Yeah.
I'd be a bit worried into Dash, depending if they like roll really hot. Then it's very hard to stop it, and you don't have hypothermia or Channel Lake. You're kind of doomed.
Yeah.
But like I'm still like pretty happy seeing those kinds of heroes, and that's how we're like kind of rating into the world's meta what people are going to be looking at, right? So I definitely agree with putting Iyslander there.
All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, I guess.
Should we roll onto that other hero they
Since
got?
we've been talking about Striders
punched
so
in the
much,
face?
punched in the gut, slapped in both cheeks. Yeah.
He wasn't even
face
that
cheeks.
scary, was he?
Both
Was he
cheeks.
killing everyone in skirmish
Okay.
or something?
Kano could always just like turn one you. Like
True.
it's always a possibility. Actually though, Kano I think for this meta, like going into World is not going to be great, especially in Blitz. But once Dynasty drops, Blessing of Aether becomes legal. And there's a sorcery spilled Kano build that people have been tinkering with.
Mm.
And I think like you just like buff a really, really big stir on your turn and you just do a lot of damage. And like
Okay.
and then you can just like finish them off on their turn, like Kano off the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like
Yeah.
really, really big stir after like a Blessing of Aether, very good.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So that's
I definitely
post
have
dynasty, I
thoughts.
guess.
let's
But
post on.
Post
Yeah,
Dynasty.
yeah.
For right now, I mean, I've played a lot of Kano. I have a lot of reps. Like, not as much as some other people.
Do you have any
who, like, just
barefoot
tested
Kano reps though?
barefoot Kano reps. Okay. Anyways, moving along. So the key with Kano is that in Blitz, he already didn't have Snapback and he already didn't have Stir. Right? Because Stir and Snapback are banned in Blitz. And so he was already hit once. And to be hit with the Striders, I don't think the Striders ban was targeted for Kano. I think it was targeted for Iyslander, and Kano just happened to be there. Um, but Kano definitely had the ability to go real quick with two sources of easy instance off his own ability and Striders, right? So now you don't have Striders. You're probably running Mage Masters. The reason you're running Mage Masters is because you're running. You can easily run tomes, multiple tomes. Like you can run Tome of Aetherwind off Tunic. Like you can be able to, in a pinch, use it with anything from the arsenal, or you can get it from whatever's on top. But Mage Masters does allow you to do some things. I think Armor is also okay. I'd probably run Iron Rot before I would run Iron Hide in Kano, just because the blues are a lot more useful for Kano's ability itself, and like Metacarpus and stuff like that. But that being said, I don't think Mage Masters is bad because you can always just run it with Tome of Findel.
Yeah.
Right. You could just you could become Bravo. You could literally just Mage Masters Tome of Findel, and it's still really good. That's a really good turn, right?
Yeah.
Because Kano can still play some really good Sonic Boom. You can run. So you still run Sonic Boom. You still run Lessons in Lava. So you still have a way of like putting stuff on the top on the field at instant speed without having to use your arsenal or your hand, right? So he's still very strong. I think he's just going to require a lot more thought and a different kind of play line that involves either aggressively stacking, because now to get off a Wildfire, you have to use cards like a Ragamuffin's Hat. You have to, or a more confirmed Wildfire, right? Not just like a randomly like sniping it off the top. You have to use like a Ragamuffin's
Potion of Deja Vu.
Potion of Deja Vu. Some opt abilities, right? And that's something that you can't just like throw with Striders out of the arsenal and then boom, Wildfire to your face, right?
Yeah.
So he lost that potency there. However, I still think he's very strong.
Yeah, I think this will reward really good players who kind of know what they're doing, because before it was a lot easier to get the combo off, like you said. So now at least if you're a player who knows how to pitch stack, knows how to sequence their cards like Deja Vu properly and all that stuff, and also like matchup knowledge, I think this will reward you quite well.
Yeah. I think,
but that being said, not many players are at that level, so I don't know. He's not solid either right now. Like right now, people don't really know what to do.
You have to remember we're talking about the World Championships. So if someone is bringing the Blitz in the World Championships, I am going to hazard a guess to say they're probably
at least a good player.
I don't know. I feel like if they knew what they were doing, they just bring Iyslander instead.
That's right. Okay. So I guess that all being said, where should we put this guy?
So my inkling here is the top of B tier or the bottom of A tier. And the reason is because the damage potential is still his damage potential is still very high. Like Strider's just confirmed your kills. It doesn't mean his damage just disappeared.
I think so. Like I think into aggro decks he's pretty unplayable, right? Like he was pretty bad into aggro before, and now with 15 health, aggro can just step all over him. There's no time for setup.
Bottom of A tier or top of B tier.
Yeah,
I think top of B tier because he does more unfair things than the heroes that are there.
And Bravo, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I'm
okay with that.
I could also see the argument for low A tier as well, because just pure damage like Blazing Aether and stuff, like there's just some ridiculous stuff you can still. Potion of Deja Vu, like these tools still exist. You just can't like pop off whenever you want with Striders. It doesn't mean you can't pop off. So he's still a very strong hero.
Okay. Cool. All right, Kassai. It's a hero I play quite a bit. One of my only Blitz decks currently. I mean, so she's one of the of the warriors, she's the best one. She has access to all the same armor that Dori and Boltyn have, but she gains incremental advantage through her copper tokens in a way that like it's better than how Boltyn can gain his charge because they come with attack on hits, right? So you can be pretty aggressive and still gain board advantage with her copper. And once you do draw your blood in her hands, she's pretty unstoppable. So I'd wager to put her top of A, somewhere around there. I think she's maybe even S because she doesn't have many bad matchups. When she goes aggressive, she can pretty much go toe to toe with the aggressive decks in the meta, like the other aggro decks. Into control, she's not too bad either because she has that kind of advantage or accumulative advantage point or mechanic in her copper. So I don't know. I think she has not really that many bad matchups. Top of A is kind of where I'd put her.
What do you think, Nghia?
I disagree.
Okay.
I don't think she can raise things like Briar or Chane because they're putting out like 20 damage in a turn, and you're blocking with your fridge, your full hand, you're passing back, they're doing it again. Like your turns are swing Blade Runner into weapon for 5, maybe double. Like you.
I might have said race, but I meant to say toe to toe. Like she can put up with it. I think. I don't know.
I think she just plays way too fair, and then like decks like Oldhim, they have channeling frigid hypothermia, they block you really well, like they're hitting you really really hard. I just don't think she can like keep up with them.
Okay.
I think she's the best warrior out of all of them, and she uses dynamos the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that constant armor is quite good.
Yeah, I would. So I'm more on I'm in Camp Nghia, I guess, but only because I've played both sides of those matchups, and I think her biggest issue, as Nghia kind of said, is she can't race these aggro decks at this point. It's very difficult, even with all of the abilities. She still needs to charge up blood in her hands for that real big blowout turn. Like that is her ace in the hole. No pun intended for Rangers, but I would say she also has real big issues into the ice heroes, and we're expecting the ice heroes to come out swinging, right? Iyslander and Oldhim, there's going to be a lot of them at Blitz. That doesn't bode that well for Kassai. I remember playing Oldhim into Kassai, and Kassai never had a fun time. Can you imagine doing your Kassai combo and you just like ice react? Or you just sit there with a frostbite and just screw their entire turn. Like it's very tough for Kassai to beat like fatigue Oldhim, which is fair. Yeah. Which is what's running around.
I also don't think Kassai can beat Iyslander.
You're biased.
It's not even just bias. Like I played the matchup on stream. Like I played it against a friend. Like he didn't get to have fun.
Like how do you you go on your big turn and you just get hypoed and then you just
I mean hypo does crap on your parade. That's true. Yeah.
Like your blood in your hand is actually just wasted because like all the copper's gone. You swing once and that's it, right? Okay. I think top of B below Kano.
I think her and Kano are comparable. Like they both do good enough things where they're like good enough to be playable and like you could bring them to an event.
She's strong. Like she can be like all around strong. She also isn't like that difficult to play. Like she's very forgiving in that her armor kit is quite hefty because she's a warrior. So she has that like get out of jail free card against physical damage. I still like Kano better. I still think like really good Kano players are gonna do better than really good Kassai players.
That's fair.
In this opinion, right? I just think based on the lineup here.
Yeah.
Kano has a chance of absolutely steamrolling the aggro decks if you sack. But Kassai stacks and just hits for 3 more damage. Like I don't really know what that.
It's hard. It's hard to sack with Kassai. Yeah, you're basically.
It's really it.
You can't just draw 2 blood in her hands in one turn and call it a day, right? It's like you have to build up. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Cool.
Katsu.
All right, Katsu.
Right, tell me why Katsu is the best hero in the game, bar none.
There we go.
I can't lie to you. I think he's just worse than Benji.
No, really?
Oh, let's put him next to here.
The issue with Katsu is you need to be able to hit off combo lines and into decks like Chane. Like any deck with good armor, they're just gonna block like
a lot of decks with good armor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of decks with good armor. Or D-Reacts. They're just gonna block you when it matters, and then Katsu can't continue.
So at least Benji can get off damage, whereas Katsu probably can't.
He has unblockable damage.
Yeah, exactly.
He has unblockable.
So at least he can get unblockable damage off, but Katsu can't really do that.
I think Katsu's a meme deck.
I think it's a meme deck. If you're bringing it, it's because you love Katsu so much. I don't think
it's pet
anyone
level.
going to Worlds is going to be. Yeah, it's pet deck level. I don't think anybody going to Worlds will be bringing it.
Fair enough.
While we're at it, let's put Kavdeeeeeeen right next to Benji there.
Sure.
As much as Nghia loves Kavdeeeeeeen.
loves Kavdeeeeeeen.
Oh, I love Kavdeeeeeeen.
But that being said, I don't know if many people love him, so there you go.
Drone is no longer an applicable card.
That's true. It did rely on drone. Yeah, that's true. All right, cool. Simpler times, happier times, I think. Anyway.
All right,
my boy Kayo.
Rob, tell me why Kayo is going to be your pick.
A meme deck.
Oh, you put him in the meme tier already. He's going to end up winning.
I did him dirty. He can win if you're lucky. I mean, hey, when he high rolls, he's the best deck in the game.
Weighted dice or weighted dice, my friend.
Yes, exactly.
I've been one shot by KOs.
I mean, yeah, same. Yeah, I played a KO mirror and I just like rolled ones and twos, and my opponent rolled fives and sixes, and that was it. I think he had a cool I guess gimmick with genre brutality, obviously early on, right? You can just keep trying it out. It keeps coming back, keep trying, you know. So I mean, obviously that's not a thing anymore, and he's luck dependent, purely luck
What
dependent.
about ready to roll?
It's a good card. So that card, it doesn't win you the game though, because you can still whiff on that card, and I have whiffed on
Yeah.
that card, but the consistency
Yeah.
does go up. So if you craft your turn in a way where you can get that off in conjunction with like a blood rush, ready to roll, you can do some pretty nasty damage. However,
Mhm.
it depends on your rolls, and maybe you're not ready to roll. Maybe you just whiff it every time. So I think he's a meme. I don't think people can really play him seriously. I don't think there's a deck out there that like lowers the variance by so much that he can be viable into the meta.
Yep.
So
I agree.
yeah,
Talk about viability. Let's put Levia right next to Kayo.
okay,
I don't know. I'm sorry. Like she gets Husk too. Doesn't make
yeah,
me like I'm looking at Husk, and then I'm like, why would I play Levia when I can play Chane? Like I have like you're playing Husk with a side of fries here.
yeah,
Like you're ordering the Husk, and then you're just choosing which hero you want to wear the Husk.
yeah.
I'd like Chane to wear the Husk, in my own personal opinion here, just because when you block for when you block from 6 to 10, you could probably kill them or take most of their life on their turn. If it's like a little bit like you got two shackles out or something.
Yeah.
You know what happens with Levia? You're just sitting there praying to God, you're banishing to make sure that Husk doesn't kill you along
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
rest of your blood dead cards.
yeah.
And it's just like, why are you putting that kind of stress under yourself? Like you're already at the world
Isn't life
championship.
stressful enough? Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, you're just like, you've got 5 rounds to go to top 8. You're looking at your Levia deck and be like, okay, this is where I break open the meta.
Yeah.
Like what? I don't understand
Yeah, and
what you're
of
doing here.
course, like Ice would just completely destroy her game plan. If you ice at the right time
Yep,
and she can't play anything to banish for blood debt,
you
she
died of
just
blood debt.
dies. Exactly.
No,
So
you died of blood debt.
way too much of a lose lose situation. So I agree with
Okay.
her being there.
I actually think Lexi's a C tier. It's not a meme hero. I don't think she's a meme hero by any
Nope.
means, by any
Hmm.
stretch of the imagination. I'd actually put her higher on the C. Like I'd
Yeah,
actually put her in front of like
maybe a hero.
Dromai Ira.
Yeah,
I'd put her at the top of C,
top.
to
I'd
be
put her on
honest.
the top. I'd actually put Ira to the right of Dromai, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Just a random thought, but
sure. I
just
don't mind.
because Dromai can hit real hard with those Senepais. Like you can
Yep.
do some scary damage
Okay.
with these really aggro
And she can
here.
build
But
board state as long as it doesn't get
yep.
popped every turn. So yeah, there's a clear advantage there. Yeah.
I think Lexi is ahead of Azalea solely by the good graces of New Horizon Voltaire, and that is it, right?
Yeah.
The key is that she has actual tangible disruption if she's going things like Chilling Ice Vein, right?
Yeah.
Or you have the ability to build her really, really lean with like lightning. So you're building Glass Cannon Lexi and try to like hit them real hard turn one. And she has the ability to actually choose those strategies because she has those, she has the equipment slash weapon to do so. That being said, she's extremely fragile. She has barely, if any, armor, and she has really disgustingly shit hands. Like some of her hands look so bad they make me want to quit the game sometimes. They're just unplayable to the point that you just sit there, fire an arrow, and pass, and just like load up and pray, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are Lexi decks that can do really interesting things in certain matchups, but as far as just an aggro deck, you're gonna get fatigued out because you have a bow, so any decks just gonna block you out, and your aggro potential ceiling is fairly high, but it's not nearly as consistent as like a dash or something like that, which can pop out with Pounder every single turn
Yeah.
without fail, right? So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on Lexi, but that's just how I see her.
Art of War, Three of a Kind, Rain Razor, still cards.
Yeah.
So she's not a
Good
meme.
if you draw them within the first 2 turns or die trying. Yeah, that's
But
the
the amount
issue.
of times, how many times have you and I, when we were playtesting for Jersey, did we Three of a Kind and draw no arrows and just like look at each other
And
and just say pass?
Yeah.
that's CC when you actually get a second turn to
Yep.
pass. You don't just die the
Yeah.
next turn.
Exactly.
Yep.
Way
Like,
too
that
swing
happened
in
to
blitz.
Yuki. Happened to me. Happened to Yuki. Did it happen? It happens. Too swingy. You don't have that kind of space in blitz.
Yeah.
The old man himself.
Hey,
Oldhim is S tier. Put him
Mr.
right next to
Young him.
Iyslander.
Yeah.
I'd put him a
Oh,
little in front of Iyslander.
Yeah. Okay.
oh yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant to say like he is
He is the
I
quintessential
don't think
blitz
anyone
hero
can
right now.
argue. you look at him, you can look at his results. They speak for themselves. Even in the Blitz thing, the top eight, like 4 of them were Oldhim or something like that. Like half of every top 8 nowadays is Oldhim.
Yep.
As far as like Blitz goes, in Blitz there hasn't been a lot of those decks that are able to consistently beat Oldhim while not getting dumpstered by the rest of the field.
Yep.
Right. I
So
think
did the pulse
there are,
ban hurt him at all in
well,
Blitz?
the pulse ban was CC. You
Oh, it was
still get
only.
pulse.
I'm sorry. Of course, it's only.
It's
CC.
only CC.
Yeah, so
You
you
just
can
don't
still
get
use
He
pulse
didn't
in
get
Blitz.
touched on this list.
That's true.
You
Of
didn't get
course.
touched.
Yeah.
Crown of Seeds happened beforehand, so people have already been working around the fact that you don't get Crown of Seeds and Blitz.
Yeah.
You don't get Awakening. Something to note, right?
Yeah,
you
it's
don't get
true.
Awakening.
Something
You don't get Crown
awakening.
of Seeds. But hey, you still have Pulse. You're still doing the same stuff as you did before. You're more aggro if you want to be more aggro, but
Right.
you're also you can still build degenerate control lists and do really, really, really well.
Yeah.
I think Oldhim's kit is just extremely good. His equipment is strong. He's got multiple sets of upgraded cards. He has some of the best card quality in the game right now because he's had multiple sets of support.
Yep.
And he is able to counteract a lot of strategies that are out there right now, simply because of his hero ability is very strong. His equipment suite, as far as his like Winter's Wail and a shield,
Yeah.
very, very strong. Stalagmite strong, Rampart strong, Winter's Wail strong. And he has a good amount of physical damage with just his power and his disruption, right? He's not unbeatable. I think there are decks that definitely can go 50-50 into him, or slightly higher. The issue is how they do against the rest of the field.
Yeah.
And I think Oldhim can take on the field more easily than any other hero without teching because you can't sideboard and blitz. So you have to be cognizant of that, right? As far as your main deck, not your equipment.
Your equipment, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how I feel on him. This just like there are decks that can, Kano could pitch stack and beat him. It's definitely happened before. It happened in Battlehardened that Nghia was playing. Kano did beat Oldhim on the stack. It is what it is.
Yep.
Prism could beat Oldhim. There are decks that can target Oldhim. However, we're talking about holistically in the field against multitude of heroes. Oldhim is the safest bet.
Yep. 100%.
You guys feel about Oldhim?
No counterpoints there. I think
Autumn
results
gun.
speak to him.
Oldhim, good. Boring as all hell. Still a good pick if you want to try to actually win your games.
Yes.
Cool. All right, let's talk about the Blitz only hero, Prism.
Now she's Blitz only. She wasn't Blitz only in New Zealand
until like a week ago. Yeah, since a week ago, exactly.
You think that one guy forced James White to be like, I don't want to see this hero?
I bet he did. I bet that was because the one guy took her to like, I forget how well he did, but it was noteworthy, right? He went pretty far.
He 3-0'd
He
the
went
first
pretty
day.
deep,
He
yeah.
He went pretty deep.
1-2 the second day.
Yeah, kind of.
I
funny.
mean, I feel like if you lose to this hero in
CC,
you kind of deserve it, right?
You deserve it. You definitely deserve it. Oh, and yeah,
This
tell me about
hero's-
Prism.
I actually think she's like really good right now. I don't think she's as good as the first two heroes, but I think she's like bottom of S tier. I think she's
might
like
be our third S tier. Yeah.
like Heralds. Fucking hurt.
Yeah. 7 is a thing.
Yeah.
Herald-
Go again.
Yeah, guaranteed to go again.
Go again.
Yeah.
Light speed action.
You can drop like good auras. Like you have the blue auras that you can drop. You have like merciful. I don't like thinking about Prism that much as an Iyslander player, but like
yeah, that's true.
she's just all her attacks are efficiently costed. You have Phantasmal Footsteps, like
yeah,
you
she's
just
got
get
the
so
total
hard.
package. Yeah.
I think she is. I agree with S tier.
You want
Solely
to put her
because
above Iyslander?
no, I wouldn't do that. But
Yeah.
solely because if Prism is looking to her left, she's got good matchups into both of those heroes.
Yeah.
And so really all you're scared about is the heroes right below you. Right? The ones in A tier are the ones that can really do a lot of damage to you. Bravo can do okay into you if you don't just get stalled out.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what Kassai does into Prism, honestly. But,
Right.
Cries, yeah.
yeah, and then obviously Prism has a good matchup into Kano. That one I've played a lot on the Kano side and cried a lot.
It's rough.
And so I think Prism's a good shot. If there are Prism players that I think recently one of them top 8'd one of the Battle Hardens, and I think it's a matter of I guess the Blitz one, right? But it's a matter of a strength of schedule, I think. I think there will be, if there's a Prism who gets good strength of schedule, dodges a lot of the Briars, the Chanes, the dash, and hits a lot of the Oldhim Iyslander matchups, I think she's going to go far. As far as like those 5 matchups, you can go 4-1. It's not like it's not unheard of. You could go 4-1, hit Oldhim's and Iyslander, get an aggro matchup, lose, and 4-1's a pretty good record for your 5 last World Championship games, right? So
Yep.
I think Prism is definitely the third S tier.
And we'll probably see a lot of Prism in the World's Championship too.
I expect to see a chunk. I don't expect to see a ton. A good number, but not more than I think Oldhim and Iyslander will be the 2 most represented, and then there'll be like the aggro block, and then there'll be Prism. I think
that's the ecosystem right there.
It's the triangle of death.
People's extended arts and cold foils have to go somewhere, right? So it's probably going to be Blitz.
Rhinar. Rob. Tell me about the reckless rampage.
So we've seen the success of Rhinar in CC. We've seen what he can do to ice heroes. He might be in a similar situation as Prism, where he's good into the top S tier heroes. Iyslander less so, but he's still okay into Iyslander. Pretty good into Oldhim if it's a control variant of the deck, which I think most of them are in Blitz. The aggressive heroes are really the ones that put him down. So I don't know whether or not... I would say probably bottom of A was where I'd put him. Maybe that, or like top of B.
I would hazard to put him top of B.
Top of B.
The reason is because that I agree with your points that he is favorable into a lot of the control matchups, and that he can do well into Iyslander. If Iyslander does have those kind of silver bullet cards that stop his big blood rush turns.
Yeah, exactly. So
you're preventing a lot of...
You can whiff hard.
Rhinar only gets 2. Yeah, Rhinar only gets 2 blood rush. You can either whiff yourself or they can whiff you, right? As weird as that sentence is.
Yep.
My other issue with Rhinar and Blitz is his consistency is poop.
Yeah.
Like, you can do a lot or you can do a little.
That's one thing he has in Blitz that is not necessarily true in CC. You're a lot more consistent in CC. Yeah.
You don't run that much armor. Like, you have armor, but you don't have nearly as much armor as, like, all the warriors, the guardians. Hell, even Iyslander with the Ironhide has more armor at this point. Like, she's running 4 net peak. Like, it's true, though. Like, she's running, like, 6 armor with 2 pitch.
It's true.
And, like, Rhinar's running Gambler's Glove, so you have, scabs, tunic, and, like, a headpiece for 2 armor.
Yeah.
And so...
I'm wondering... I wonder if I should put him below Kano, maybe.
Rough.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get away with not putting him in A. I think it can't be understated enough how good he is into the first 2 decks.
It's true.
Okay,
because if the majority of the field is going to be those 2, and this is a deck that is good into them and consistently good into them,
right?
It needs to be with the other heroes. So because if you...
I was gonna say, I know he's like really good into Oldhim, but like for Iyslander, it feels like maybe like close to 50-50. Yeah, maybe I'm just wrong.
We don't have Striders anymore.
Oh,
so,
yeah, that's a good point.
I think Rhinar definitely has the advantage now.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
My issue with the Rhinar consistency is that like whiffing Blood Rush is so real. Like, it's just so tangible. If you're like stacking all your marbles into the Blood Rush plan, and you whiff, you lose the game.
So a lot of the decks, they craft them in a way that like you can play out the cards that aren't 6 attack before you play your Blood Rush out. Like, so you'd make your deck in a way that you're not gonna whiff off pretty much any hand you draw will not whiff you a Blood Rush, right? Because you can play cards out before, and then off of Tunic you play your Blood Rush. So, but they might be weaker, of course. Like, you might just draw like 2 other blues that you have to play out first, and you don't have enough pitch for your attacks. So, or your claws for that matter.
I will concede to put him in A, begrudgingly so, but I still like believe that he is a high B tier.
Yeah, I was okay with either.
I've just seen too many games where Rhinar gets off Blood Rush and doesn't even kill the other hero. There's just not even enough damage, and it's just like.
He also has that skilling, though.
On the flip side, you can one-shot anybody pretty much off a really good Blood Rush.
But Kano can also one-shot anybody.
Yeah, but
Kano could also just like crumble to dust because he's 15 HP.
Yeah. Rhinar can at least take a full turn off and just take the aggro damage, assuming it doesn't one-shot him. Whereas Kano probably will get one-shot by most 5-card hands on an aggro deck.
Yeah, I guess you just gotta hope you don't have to block with Blood Rush and you'll be fine.
Also, Rhinar is good into the 3rd hero in S tier.
And that too, with the poppers.
Not even just the first 2, also the 3rd one is just like every card the popper.
I forgot about Prism, it's true. Yeah. So decent.
I think it's his matchup into the A tier heroes is just very bad.
Yeah, so
that's why I put him like bottom of A tier, but I think he's still above the other ones because he's good into all 3 S tier heroes.
Yeah.
Fair. Yep.
Yeah, fair
Okay,
enough.
so we're on Shiyana.
We've
Let's
got
put her in
a few
here.
more memes coming here. Yeah,
One day she's going to be the scariest shit on the face of the planet, but right
yeah.
now she's still a meme tier.
The cool thing
As
about
more
her is that as
special
more
items are added.
sets, yeah, as more sets come out, like there's still because you kind of, I think it's almost like an exponential thing where the more cards you add, the more interactions you have with these cards, right? So if
Yeah.
you eventually add like a card that interacts really well with one other card that no one thought of, like two specializations that are like so far apart that it's like, wait a sec, they're actually amazing
Mhm.
together. And Blitz in a format where your deck size is smaller, I think that you
Yeah.
could pretty much find a cracked deck eventually. But right
I'm ready
now,
to
there's no such
go.
combo. So
Yeah,
maybe
no.
at LSS, they're paying really close attention to the interactions between class cards to make sure that she doesn't get broken. Because
Yeah, it's
I think
also
she will
like
eventually.
it's a legendary hero. So just from an accessibility standpoint, you can't get that strong.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing to
It's true.
the
It's true.
Emperor of Jakai here. That
Yeah.
again, a legendary hero. You really have to make sure your tuning is on point
Yeah.
because
They made the
having a low
legendary.
accessible,
Yeah, they
like a
made the
low
legendary
accessible hero.
hero have potentially a really high ceiling. I think, which is going to be tough. So they got a hard job ahead of
We'll, we'll
them
see. We'll
for
see what
balancing.
happens. So the last
Anyway,
hero is Valda. We're
yeah,
ignoring Viserai as he's LL, so nobody has to
he's
worry about that
gone.
anymore.
All right.
Viserai
Well,
was a
we recently
scourge.
played some Valda. She was kind of fun. I think she's
Rob,
fun
Rob, tell me with your Valda wisdom. She's
on
crossing her
all
arms.
the few of the games I've played on Valda. Yeah, I mean I had
Well,
her
you got-
before
yeah, you
the
played her a little bit
the
before.
latest set came out. She was pretty terrible then. Now at least she has Sift. So if you have Sift is a pretty good card into this deck because you mulligan two, three, or four cards and you gain that many seismic surges. And then if you get three or more seismic surges, you get dominator for crush card. She can have some pretty cool turns where you're constantly dominating. So if she can get this engine going where she constantly dominates turn after turn off like really cheap crush cards that cost like one or two, like a two-costed spinal, something like that, right? She could be like she can do pretty good damage. The problem is if you catch her off guard and she starts a turn without seismic surge tokens, she's just like there's nothing you can do pretty much. So
Yeah.
I think she's not a. I don't think she's a meme. I think
No.
there's actually some merit to playing her now because
Genuine
she has a cool gimmick that no one else can do, especially with Sift. So
Yeah.
I'm still thinking C tier, maybe like I'm probably below Ira somewhere around here, maybe between Ira and Dromai.
Yeah.
I feel like you
So
described a meme deck.
no.
Maybe,
Okay.
but
Let me
maybe Eric can
correct Rob a little
clarify.
bit. Let me clarify here. So from the Guardian player here. Let me clarify a couple
The true
things.
Guardian player, yeah.
She does very very good. She has some of the best resource transfer skills in the game because of her Thor bounty, right? So Bravo, who's able to get one seismic turn, maybe with Grandeur he gets two seismic surges to transfer to the next turn, right? Oldhim doesn't really use tectonic plating as much anymore. I mean, yes, he can, but
Yeah.
same kind of idea. They're both capped. The thing with Valda decks, and you don't have to build it this way, but the most prolific ones, they run Rainbow Sift. They run Potion of Luck. The ability to transfer 3 to 5 on a high ceiling resources is unmatched by any other hero in the game on a consistent basis. Just in a bubble, in a silo. Just think about a silo here. If we're thinking about that one ability, nobody can do that but her. Unless you're building some wacky deck that doesn't make any sense, right? Sift blocks for 3. It's like there's not a horrible card. The issue, and Valda starts at 21 health.
She gets that one
Which
extra
is
health. That's right. Yeah.
It's you know how many games I've lost at 1 health, or
Yeah.
I've like how many games in Blitz where like that 1 health made the game essentially, broke the game. My issue with Valda is that she suffers from that ability that high ceiling, low consistency. Some of the Valda's hands are all blue Guardian cards that look like ass, right? Very similar to the Bravo effect. It's very, very similar to the Bravo effect. Is those cards, it really does hurt because you just lose your dominate potential. Because if you can't do that, at least a 3 resource transfer, you don't get your dominate on the crush cards. There's the other issue where cards like Thunderquake and Pulverize aren't crush cards, so they won't have dominate, right? They have Heave, which gives your 3 seismic. However, those 3 seismic just give you the discount. They don't actually give you the dominate, and there's no way to give dominate to those cards, unless you run like Emerging Dominance or something like that, which might not be that bad. But Valda, as she is now, has the potential to have a chain of about 2 or 3 strong dominate turns on average, but you have to get insanely lucky to get more than that.
Right.
And I don't think 2 turns of consistent tempo high dominate is enough to close out the game, given how much armor heroes have, right? So you're looking at Oldhim, Iyslander, like all the D reacts and armor, any of the warriors, even Bravo for that matter. A lot of these decks have a shit ton of armor. So the issue is that you're able to block at least one, if not two, of those big Valda turns, and then you just wait. Valda will miss. There's not enough to there's not enough continuity on that tempo, and that's where she runs into like the fairness issue, like the Bravo level of fairness that we've been alluding to, right?
Yeah.
She's just it's very hard to break her for multiple turn cycles, and that's why she's unfortunately in C tier.
Yeah, I'm okay
I would-
leaving her
I would
there.
agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, do we think she should
Where
be
she is
higher or
fine.
lower? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I think she's fine exactly where she is.
I feel like she's just worse than Benji and Ira though, because they can at least consistently output damage. And
But-
like personally, I
Even
feel like
damage
you
is all
described the meme deck, right? Like if all the stars align
the
and I can
stars
do
align.
this.
Well, we don't want to say all the stars align because she has 6 sifts that can actually do something, right? Like
Yeah,
that
she has
actually
she has
makes
6 sifts,
that
right?
makes a turn. Like
Of luck.
yeah, potion of luck, 3 potion of luck. So you have like 9 cards in your deck that can make your turn
There's
pretty
only 8
good.
cards. You can only play
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Don't correct him, Nghia.
How
Okay, well-
dare you? How dare you?
Let's put her. Let's put
So
her.
I want to believe that she's not a meme deck.
on the end of C. Put her on the end,
End
of
of C just to
not
make
on the-
Nghia happy.
Not
Okay.
on the meme, just to make Nghia happy.
She's at the cusp of meme. Okay.
Okay.
So
Is there anything we want to change on this?
I was gonna ask the same thing. I was looking at Ira, and I don't know. I feel kind of bad for Ira down there. I
Don't
don't
feel
know.
bad.
That's where she belongs.
It's where she
That's where
belongs.
she belongs.
I just
C
feel like
for
some people can
viable
play
and
a lot of-
crucible.
Yeah.
Viable and crucible.
That's fair.
I think the C heroes look good. I think the B heroes look fine.
Phi. Yeah.
I don't like Phi more than Bravo. I think I'd keep Bravo there.
Okay.
Kassai,
Sounds good.
Dori at the end. Is she weaker than Phi? I'm not actually sure. Like,
I think
Yeah.
they're just comparable. I think it doesn't matter which
Yeah.
one is ahead of
I
which
think they're
one.
about the same.
Okay.
I like at the top of B. That's fine. Could be bottom
Yeah.
of A if like it's possible. You can argue bottom of A. I'd be fine with that too. Rhinar bottom of A looks good. Those beefy aggro decks up there.
Yep.
Also looks good in A.
I guess we can agree these are the best aggro decks in the format right now. Briar,
Yeah.
Chane.
Yeah, they just
Dash,
have
yeah.
the highest they have the highest consistent ceiling. That's the key, right? It's consistency and ceiling, and these 3 heroes have both, and that's why they're here.
Okay.
S tier.
Yeah.
I think Oldhim Iyslander Prism is fine.
That's what I expected, pretty much. Yeah.
It's literally in the order of how well they can deal with aggro,
Yeah.
and then Prism is there because it deals with
It should deal
the
with
heroes
aggro.
onto the left.
yeah.
Yeah, that's literally how they're ordered, right?
Yeah.
But I think this is
I'm
fine.
good with it. Yeah, and we haven't ordered the meme tier list at all. Like this is just
The meme
unordered.
tier list is exactly what the random chaotic
Yeah,
evil.
chaotic evil. I agree.
Okay, with that,
All right.
we all agreed. For everyone watching, appreciate everyone for watching. If you like this comment, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. We will have a CC tier list coming out with another special guest the following week, I guess, based on when this is coming out. For everyone who's watching, wherever you're watching in the world, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Bye for now.